nibavuga ireme ry'uburezi ujye uhita wumva Happy Kids School. Happy Kids School ifite abarimu b'inzobere batanga amasomo mu cyiciro cy'amashuri y'incuke ariyo nursery school cyangwa se gardienne, tutibagiwe na creche ndetse n'amashuri abanza ariyo primary school. Mu cyiciro cy'amashuri y'incuke ariyo nursery school cyangwa se gardienne, tubafitiye amashuri yose uko ariyo baby class, middle class na top class. Mu mashuri abanza cyangwa se primary school tubafitiye kuva mu mwaka wa mbere kugeza mu mwaka wa gatandatu. Nuzana umwana wawe muri Happy Kids School uzamuzanye amaboko meza y'abarezi b'inzobere muri uyu mwuga. Iri shuri riherereye hari Gahanga iruhande rw'isoko ukase ku muhanda werekeza kuri cricket neza imbere y'urusengero rwa ADP. Kushaka ibindi bisobanuro wahamagara kuri izi nimero zikurikira: 0788 30 66 83 cyangwa 0788 45 96 32. Zana umwana wawe ku ishuri ry'icyerekezo cy'ikinyagihumbi.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, regarding to the time of watching this video. This is Teacher Valence, teacher of science at Happy Kids. I want to help you continue doing well. I know that there at home you are revising, you are studying, you are working hard because as you know, you are at home, you are in holidays. My dear students of P3, I want to help you continue doing the exercise that I gave you, that you are doing on, which is in the book. We have known that you are doing well, but this morning I want to help you remember all about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. What is it, photosynthesis? Photosynthesis, as we have seen in the class, photosynthesis, normally, this is a process. This is a scientific process by which green plants use water and carbon dioxide to make their own food. Why? Plants now are living things. Plants are living things like other living things like animals. They need to eat. They need to have different phenomena. They want to grow. They want just to reproduce. But can they do this one without eating? It is not easy for them. So that's why they need to eat. But who will give them food now? No one. Who is that? No one. We don't have someone to provide them food. They are the one to make their own food. So the process now, the action in which those plants now, these green plants, the maize, the beans, the process by which they are making their own food is what we call photosynthesis. So by definition, this is the process by which green plants make their own food. When the plant is making its own food, it is in the process called photosynthesis. Now, how now? You can ask yourself, you can ask your parents, you can ask your friend to how the plants is there making its own food. What happens? How does it make its own food? What is needed for it to make its own food? That's what I want to tell you in this video. After knowing what is photosynthesis, this photosynthesis process, it is taking place only in plants. Green plants. These plants are the ones which are able to make their own food. Don't tell people that you will find goat making photosynthesis. No, you will not find the hen making photosynthesis. No, it is for only plants. You know that living things divided into two parts: the plants and animals. So only plants are there there is also another part which I don't want to tell you this right now, but green plants are the one to be making photosynthesis. So there are some conditions. What do we need? What are needed for the plant to make their own food? What are needed now? What are the reagents? What are needed for the plant to make its own food? What does the plant need? Does it need fire? Does it need what does it need? What does the plant need to make its own food? So does it need to go at the market to buy different things? No. So how now? What does it need? What is it needed for the plant to make its own food? A plant to make its own food, it needs for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. What does it need? We want to help this plant to make photosynthesis. What is it needed? This plant to make photosynthesis, it needs two main things. It needs two main material. Number one, this plant to make its own food, as we have seen, it needs water. Plant needs water. When water is not there, this plant will fail to make its own food. And when it is not having the food, it will not be having life. Life will be complicated. So it will need water for it to make its own food. To make photosynthesis, a plant needs water. What else? Number two, for a plant to make photosynthesis, it needs a gas called carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. This plant, all those plants you see there outside in the garden, they need carbon dioxide for it to make photosynthesis. It needs water and carbon dioxide. Yes, when this plant is having water, when it is having carbon dioxide, now it can start the activity, the process of making its own food, what we call photosynthesis. You can ask yourself, where can it find water? You can ask yourself, where can it find this carbon dioxide? Now you ask yourself, think, guess, where does this plant get this water from? Where can this plant get carbon dioxide from? I think, let me remind you one thing you have seen. We have seen what we call soil. This topmost layer of the upper surface. We have seen also what we call air. So, I want you to note this. Note the following. This water, which is used by the plant in this process of photosynthesis, it is from the soil. This plant is having the ability, is able to absorb, to attract water, to take it up to the plant from the soil. See, this plant is absorbing water from the soil, then take it up in the plant for the process of photosynthesis. Now, this water is taken up in the plant from the soil by the roots. This is the part which is able to absorb water, to take up water from the soil. This water is taken up the plant for the process called photosynthesis. Now, what about this carbon dioxide? This carbon dioxide, as you know, carbon dioxide is the component of air. You know, in atmosphere we have air. This air is divided into different parts, including carbon dioxide. This is the part of air which is outside, which is needed for the plants in the process of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide is now taken in plants from from the atmosphere, atmosphere, let's say air, then by plant leaves. By plant leaves now, the leaves are the one to absorb, to trap, to bring this carbon dioxide in to be used by this process, photosynthesis. So now in our plant we have photosynthesis. Number 3, you can ask yourself, now we have water from the roots, we have carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, from air. Now where will they meet to make this photosynthesis? Where will they meet? You can ask yourself, what happens? Where will it take place? Now, can you guess where this process is taking place? Yes. Now, this process is taking place where? In a plant organ called a leaf. This process is taking place in a plant organ called leaf. Yes. This is number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Remember that this process, photosynthesis, the process by which green plants make their own food, this process photosynthesis takes place in plant leaves. In plant leaves, this is where photosynthesis, the process by which green plants make their own food, this is where photosynthesis take place. Now, as we have now seen, I think you know to draw. Yes, this is our leaf. Let's say this is our leaf. Yes, this is our leaf. So for our leaf now, yes, good. For our leaf here, we have seen that a root is absorbing water. It is bringing water from the roots, from the soil here under the soil. Water is taken up, then until it is reaching in the leaf. This is what is coming here in the leaf. The one which is coming up here in the leaf is what we call water. This is water. Water is taken up from the soil up to the roots. Up to the leaves, up to the leaves. So when it is reaching here in the leaf, it is going to meet with carbon dioxide here in the atmosphere. We have carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is breathed in our plant leaf. So, as you can see, carbon dioxide is from atmosphere, water from the soil. They are going to meet in the air, in the leaf, in the plant leaf here. When they meet here, this is industry. This is a factory of the plant, of making the plant food. This is the process of making plant food, the food which is going to help the plant continue having life, is taking place in this plant leaf. So as you can see, now when we combine, when we put together this carbon dioxide and this water from the soil, they are going to help this plant to make its own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now, here we have very many things which is happening in our plant. Carbon dioxide, water, they are combined together, they are put together. So, what do we need? Do we need only carbon dioxide and water to make photosynthesis? There are some other conditions. There is a pair of conditions which is needed for this process to take place. What are they? Let's see here. Now, conditions for photosynthesis. Conditions for photosynthesis. This process is taking place but under a pair of conditions. There are two conditions which are needed for our plant to make its own food. What are they now? Do we need fire? No. Do we need to just go at the church? No. Do we need to beg from here some conditions? No. This process is taking place under condition of just having green plant. This green plant, it is green because all green plants are having a green pigment, which is called chlorophyll. Those the plants you see, all those plants here outside, most of them are green. They are green. So they are green what? Because they are having a green pigment called chlorophyll. So this process, we have seen that it is taking place in green plants. Those plants which are green, they are green because they are having a green pigment called chlorophyll. So we need a pair of conditions. We need this green pigment in all plants to make them green, which is called, we need green pigment, green pigment called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll. We need this chlorophyll, this green pigment chlorophyll, to help this process to be taking place in the leaf. We need also sunlight. We need sunlight. We need sunlight. This light, the natural source of light. When the plant is somewhere where this sunlight cannot reach, it will be very hard for our plant to make its own food. We need sunlight, we need this light. Yes, but this sunlight must not be very heavy. We need optimum temperature of sunlight. So when the two conditions are there, this plant is happy because it can make its own food. Hope you understanding this one. Hope you will go to check everywhere and you come back here to school when you know this one. So conditions for photosynthesis, we have green pigment and sunlight. Yes, our plant now is having water, carbon dioxide, so the conditions are there for favoring our plant to make photosynthesis. It is having sunlight and it is having this green pigment given by chlorophyll. So now it is ready to make photosynthesis. It can make photosynthesis now. What if it is making photosynthesis? What will be the product? Number one, the purpose of our process is to make its food, its own food. So now that's why I want to put here the product of this process. What are the product of this process? Product of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. After a plant is making its own food, what will be the product? What is it having? After meeting with different challenges here, finally it is going to have the food, plant food. How do we call a plant food? Is it chips? What is it? How do we call the food for plants? The food for plants that we get from photosynthesis, it is what we call glucose. This is the food glucose. This is glucose. It is the food for all plants. This is what we call, this is the plant food. Plants are struggling, they are fighting to make their own food. They want this one. They want glucose. This is the plant food. So, after getting this food, as you know, all factories or industries, after getting the main product they wanted, they may find some waste product, what you can call, they are not needed. Materials which are not needed, they are not the main purpose. Even this process, after making their own food, they are having unwanted product called oxygen. This plant, after making its own food, it is having also oxygen. So, this oxygen in the plant, it is not needed. We need oxygen. But this plant does not need oxygen. No, plant does not need oxygen. In plant, this oxygen is not needed. Oxygen is not needed. But for us people, we need oxygen. So after making its own food, photosynthesis, after taking place in the plants, they will not need this oxygen. That's why it needs to send it out through plant leaf again. Think you are getting this one. After having this process, it will not need oxygen anymore. It needs to send it out. In plant, oxygen here, it is not needed. But at the beginning, there is a system where, as I was saying in the last lesson, from germination, I've seen that oxygen is needed in seed germination. But in this process of photosynthesis, oxygen is not needed. That's why this plant is going to send out this oxygen, which is needed by people for respiration. So, photosynthesis ends up by giving the products of glucose and oxygen. That's why those are the two main products of photosynthesis. Don't forget this one, my friend, students. Don't forget this one. Don't forget that this process is needing two main elements. Needs two main elements for it to take place. It needs, we have seen that now. Don't forget this one. Don't forget this one. Don't forget that photosynthesis, it is the process by which green plants use water. When you take water, that is the meaning of photosynthesis. When you take water, and this water is reacting with this water, maybe in somewhere it will meet with carbon dioxide. Where is that? Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Where are they meeting? When we take this water and it is meeting with this carbon dioxide in the leaf, up in the leaf, they are going to combine, they are going to react. What will they produce? They are going to produce what? The plant food. Plant food. They are going to produce a plant food called glucose. Glucose. And glucose and let's say oxygen. So from this simple definition of photosynthesis, we can see that when we take water and carbon dioxide in the plant leaf, it is going to make glucose and oxygen. And this process by which this is happening in green plants is what we call photosynthesis. Hope you have seen how this process is taking place from the beginning. Photosynthesis, definition, what do we need for it to take place, for those materials that we need for photosynthesis, where do we get them from? We get water from the soil, we get carbon dioxide from the air, so they are taking place in the leaf. That is why it is taking place. The products now, the products of photosynthesis, they are here, glucose and oxygen, and those are the conditions under which this process takes place. Thank you very much. Hope you have seen how and you have recorded these notes. Don't forget them. I want you to memorize them and then keep revising. We shall meet in the next lesson. Thank you very much.